Three mere mortals discover their ability to create entire universes with their minds alone. Upon discovering their abilities, these three, gods if you will, join forces to create the Dark and Stormy Nights, a supercharged team of creatives with the aim of helping artists and writers around the world while combating the forces of boredom and mundanity. They are the Dark and Stormy Nights.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Loki, and this is the Dark and Stormy Nights.
This is Tyr.
And that was a weird intro. I don't know
It
what
was
was
a
going
little
on.
weird, but that's okay.
So I knew what I was going to say, and then I hit the mic, and I drew a blank. Like, where am I? So
It's that kind of morning.
this bodes well for the
For the
plotting episode today.
We'll get there
So,
eventually.
Well, we had a few ideas, so let's recap a little bit, right? So in the last episode,
Lee threw a wrench in the works by getting bit, and he needed to be healed. And so Jeb and Elliot rushed him to the bazaar after some frustrating obstacles, got him to our snake lady thing. I forget what you call that.
well, I call her a dragon lady, but she's technically a Yanti by...
Okay. So they rushed him to Zana, who was able to cure him with some conditions. And then Lee stormed off to get the name of the creature he'd seen at the crime scene.
So there's a couple things we could keep in mind here, but won't necessarily get used, right? So at this point, Elliot has a debt to Zana.
Mm-hmm.
Lee somehow got the information. We can gloss over it, but of what this is. He knows what it is now.
Right, and the thing is that we've seen him shake down the people at the bazaar already, so you already know how he got it, you know?
Well, right. So, and we'll make mention, maybe, like I said.
Right.
You know,
Elliot
he's
he's coming out of the bazaar with a name.
When so-and-so said it was Bodak,
Right.
What is that? What is a Bodak?
Right,
What,
right.
What does that mean? And Lee's trying to figure it out. Maybe he's even on Google or something like that, Googling Bodak or whatever. So, or I don't know, maybe he has more information than that.
Or maybe he goes to Gary and, what do you know about Bodaks? Or he goes to Nigel.
Well, that's the thing. So,
once the Huntsman's cleared out. Or maybe his intention is to go to Nigel to ask about this thing.
yeah,
But he gets there and there's chaos, and he won't mention that name while there's all the other hunters there.
right. So what? We're going to go from the wallpaper store. Right.
Yes, I think he needs to come out of there and head for Nigel.
For the Huntsman? Okay. So we drive across town. Well, it's probably not that far. I'm guessing that the...
I don't know that you even... I mean, really, you could start the chapter with them arriving at the Huntsman. Walking in on chaos,
Unless we want to, drive past some of the first burger or something like that,
Yeah.
So maybe, one of them notices, and it doesn't become a problem till later. Cause
Yeah,
it's just
but I mean, you could do that anywhere. They could see it as they're walking into the building.
Yeah.
It really could be anywhere.
Right. So anyways, he gets to the Huntsman,
Mm-hmm.
and he's about to, he wanted to ask Nigel
His
about this,
intention
but
is
half
to-
these fucking
right.
hunters are there. All these hunters that survived this last encounter.
Right, and I think there's kind of chaos and a lot of yelling and a lot of,
Yeah,
just
so-and-so died. I got this shot. I killed this one. And
right. And the thing is that at this point, the hunters are all thinking they took out all these zombie children. The job is done.
Right, all their brothers
And-
got sacrificed to finish this job.
Right, and now it's time to claim the bounty.
But it's not over.
No, it's not over. And the only person who knows that is Lee.
So do you think some of these people would be pissed at Lee, though, right? Because they thought this bounty's up, their friends died fighting these things, they should be able to collect on this thing, and then Lee walks in and says, it's not over.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't the be-all, end-all. They were the weapon. They weren't the bad guy.
They were being controlled. They were risen.
Right. So
yeah, I think there's going to be some irritation there. It's not like anybody really was all that buddy-buddy with Lee to start with. So this is just one more time that
but
Lee's
I'm
been
wondering,
a dick.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. He's already not liked.
Right.
So does somebody try to physically attack him at this point, maybe? It's just like, screw you, man, whatever.
Maybe Rick.
Yeah. Oh,
Where the
well,
hell's my car? I mean, you could work that in there.
And then, but he's going to want to know what this thing is. That it's
Where is Rick's car? We left it in the middle of the
in
road.
the middle of the road. It's probably an impound.
Yeah, I would check impound Rick. Yeah, maybe do that.
So,
Like it's the last fucking straw for Rick.
but then, like you said, this is the one clue that Lee has that nobody else
Right, and he's
has.
obviously not going to give it to them. But I think he's going to like push through the crowd, make his way up to the counter, and tell Nigel, what the hell's going on here? Like Raina, I think, is maybe close to the counter, and she's, ripping Nigel a new one, or she's arguing with another hunter or something. Competent attitude.
Right. And somewhere around here, Rowan is like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Right, maybe Rowan and Elliot are having a little, oh, hey,
And
fancy
Elliot's
seeing
like,
you
"Oh, yeah,
here.
thanks for loading my guns for me. Oh yeah, it was totally hot with you killing those children." And somebody's like, "What?"
And Jeb's just shaking his head.
Oh, kid.
Anyway, so yeah, but I mean, I think that, Lee forces his way up to Nigel. And he's like, what the hell is all this, And Nigel's like, they're fighting over who gets the bounty. And Lee's like, yeah, how about none of them? Because the job ain't over.
Right.
So I think that that's probably the one piece he's going to reveal is those children are being controlled, and whatever was controlling them is still out there.
So let's see. How was he going to disperse this, right? I mean, is he going to tell everybody out?
No, I
And-
think that Nigel will throw everybody out.
So does Nigel, literally just, everybody get out except for Lee, or...
I think as a sorcerer, he can throw his voice through the whole room. He won't even need to raise his voice, become unruffled in any way. And he's just, oh, guess what? Their job's not over.
Yeah, get out, wait for me to message you, or does he just...
No, your work's not done. If you want the bounty, go finish the job.
Yeah, but they don't know what to look for. Only Lee does.
That's not Nigel's problem. The
Right.
job's not done.
Would Nigel disseminate this information once he knows it from Lee?
I don't think so. Do you?
I mean, I think it'd be
Maybe?
shitty.
I don't.
But they're trying to stop something from killing members of the Combine.
So maybe Lee reconsiders telling him what the Bodak is when he sees all these hunters vying for his bounty.
I don't know. Maybe, you know what? I think maybe he could get out of Nigel a head start. I'll give you a day with that before I tell them what it is.
You could. Okay, so you have a little leeway there. You can figure out how you want it to work. But the bottom line is that Lee is certainly not going to tell all those hunters. But you said you kind of wanted to rub it in Raina's face that he knew it wasn't something. It wasn't the children. The job
Right.
wasn't over. And I think that she might be a little concerned that he's figuring her out.
Yeah,
I
she
think
definitely
that
try and throw a monkey
We
wrench
don't want
at
to
him.
be too obvious still because we're still early enough in the book that we don't want to reveal Raina.
Right.
But Lee also has his suspicions because she was standing on her charger.
Yeah. And she was firing at nothing.
Right. So,
Which could have just been because in the end, she could excuse it as...
they were children.
Well, she was going to collect the bounties of everybody who didn't survive. Which is shitty, but all the hunters that died after they killed something,
Yeah.
She would have been like, well, I'll just claim credit for all those kills because they're not going to need them.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So, I mean, you can have some sort of uncomfortable interaction between the two of them. But bottom line is there's no way in hell that Lee is going to use the word Bodak in front of
No,
Raina because
not-
he doesn't trust her
I think
right
he's
now.
hesitant even in front of Nigel, but I
So,
think he eventually does.
Here's my other thing. Is if Raina is suspecting that Lee is suspicious of her, which I think is not a secret at this point, she's not going to leave Lee with Nigel to discuss things. Lee's going to have to lie to Nigel. That's what's going to give him the head start and leave all the other hunters clueless. Maybe he'll get a chance to talk to Nigel one-on-one later. But if Raina won't leave, Lee's going to have to tell Nigel probably, I don't know what it is. But I know I saw something. There's something controlling those kids.
Right.
And that way Raina thinks he doesn't have the name of it or whatever.
Right. Maybe he's some man in black was controlling them or something like that,
Right. Something in black robes or, some
Yeah.
vague description that could be 8 million different things.
Right.
So I think that he errs on the side of caution, won't reveal the name to Raina, and as a result can't discuss it with Nigel. Maybe he'll have to go somewhere else for information on what a Bodak is or what a Bodak can do. We talked about maybe having the Fristvarger make another appearance.
Right.
And what kind of trouble do you see them causing?
Well, I'll tell you what. We've got a couple opportunities right here. Okay. Like, if they have to go over to the Huntsman from the Huntsman, and they're going to make a plan, and the Fristvarger are there, they can't do it. You know? So we have an opportunity here if we wanted to, that there's a whole bunch of hunters, and there's an outlaw biker gang. You know?
Mhm.
So we have two populations of badasses that could clash here if we wanted to.
Oh, you want like an all-out street war?
Well, I don't think I want an all-out street war, but we could have some kind, even if they just go nose to nose and be like, you need to get out of town, you know? And
Do you think they would?
I think they might. I think it could actually make them more dangerous in the end. Whereas they back off just enough to hide in the shadows to pounce later, you know?
Yeah.
We could decimate the hunters if we wanted to. They could.
I mean, they already took some losses at the...
Right, but if the wolves take to the shadows and start sneakily making off with hunters when they're alone, you know,
Yeah.
we could almost empty this chapter of hunters, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's something we want to do, but
I don't know that it is.
I mean, is Lee going to need the help later?
I don't know that he'll need the help, but having the competition there for the bounties, you know? Otherwise, why is he not the richest bounty hunter? You know what I'm saying?
Well, at the end,
Yeah. Like,
Well-
by the... You clear out all his competition, then his debts aren't a worry anymore. He'll have another never-ending supply of jobs, you know?
well, you start recruiting again, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well, is there a point to killing all the hunters?
no, not really. I mean, we don't have to kill them either. We could just kidnap them or something like that.
Yeah.
But, or, you know, we say like we did where they become a problem and we have Gary and Ren take care of the problem, lead them out of town, make them think that the, you know, El Camino leaving the back of the parking lot actually has Lee and Elliot in it. You know, and so the gang rallies and follows it out of town,
Yeah.
you know. We might need some passion in El Camino.
I don't know. So you actually want to like straight up deal with the wolves in this second half of this
I don't
chapter?
think it's necessarily the end, but enough to get them out of the picture for a while. You know?
We had discussed using magic while having the stripper.
Right. So Ren could put a spell on Gary.
Right.
So
and have
Gary smells like Elliot and Lee.
So rather than having a confrontation in the street, you could just literally send them over.
Well, the confrontation could just be the distraction. You know what I'm saying? So
maybe not have Lee and Elliot involved in that.
right. Elliot and Lee are hiding inside the Huntsman. He gets like Jeb to rile something up and out in the parking lots.
While they sneak off to the Huntsman.
While he's on the phone with Ren or something like that, Ren casts a spell on Gary. Gary takes off, and the hunter and the werewolves smell it,
And it leads them away.
and it's like, "Oh, you were distracting us, you son of a bitch!" And then they go after the car that left, you know, which is heading out of town,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And who knows how long that'll. Unfortunately, it takes Gary out of the picture as long as it takes the Fristbarger out of the picture.
It does. Or you mentioned at one point maybe casting the spell on like a truck heading out of town, you know?
Maybe it's cast on a thing, an item.
Right, that
And
Gary
Gary's
can
got to
place
get it on
onto
something, yeah. So
Mhm.
Gary goes out and he gets it on a passing semi or something like that.
Right, something that's going to cross state lines.
Right. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So.
And that way you can still keep Gary around if needed and trail the wolves out.
They head out of town and
it'll-
Gary's like, haha, stupid dogs.
And it'll only work for as long as, you know, until the wolves figure it out, then they'll be coming back.
Right.
So, I mean, that's probably a good option.
But if it's on a long haul trucker's truck, it could be days.
Right.
You know, so.
And so, yeah, like Gary could be celebrating in the street, and one of the bounty hunters is like, "You look familiar."
Do I know you?
No, you wouldn't have seen me anywhere.
But, yeah, so that'll buy Lee the time he needs. So he has 24 hours or whatever before the other hunters figure out what this thing is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got 24 hours without a werewolf up his ass. So that buys him the time he needs. So really, this chapter is about buying time.
Well, unless you're not going to reveal to Nigel the name of the Bodak, because Raina won't leave. She's going to want to know what Lee knows, and so she's probably going to stick around.
Yeah, but Lee doesn't have to give it up. It's just that
that's what I'm
he
saying.
won't have whatever information Nigel has on that thing.
That's what I'm saying. So that 24-hour window might not apply until whenever he actually does get a chance to talk to
Maybe
Nigel.
Ren knows what they are.
That's true. Maybe Ren does know.
I mean, there's more than one magical creature at the strip club, too. I mean, there are others there. He might be able to find something out from...
Yeah, you could pull in
We could
something
introduce
else. Maybe
another-
one of those creatures with the 6 hands or whatever, like
So,
Elliot ran into in the bazaar.
like a Shiva-like character.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it'd be funny to have one of the girls be like an actual unicorn, like, but she looks human or whatever in the club.
Like a unicorn shifter?
Yeah, something like that, maybe. I don't know.
Or she's an actual unicorn who has like a human glamour?
Yeah. Be weird to dance on stage or whatever. Look kind of like the zebra from...
she just walks in circles around the pole.
Yeah. Whinnies a little bit, tosses her mane. Looks like... what's that guy's name? Is it Chris Rock from when he plays the zebra
Oh, yeah.
in Madagascar?
Marty?
Yeah, Marty.
Is that it?
That'd be funny. Anyways, we'll derail. I don't know. I'm just saying the back half of the club is other creatures.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you could have him discuss it with anybody. Ren would have all of those connections.
Maybe he's talking to Ren, and one of the other strippers is like, "Oh, I know what that is."
Or Ren would be like, "Oh, you know who would know that?" And she goes and grabs
Yeah.
one of her girls.
Yeah, maybe one of the chicks is like super dark sorcerer girl or something like that. Everybody likes the goth girl at the strip club, you know.
Yeah.
So
All right. Do we want to take a break and then come back to?
sure we can.
Okay.
Why my drippings will go?
Because you were listening to the Dark and Stormy Nights podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, or Podbean.
Okay, so we're back with the second half. We're trying to hash out some details, I suppose. So the couple things is, so he's not going to reveal to Nigel, right?
I think at least not as long as Raina is present. Maybe he'll go back at some point and be like, "Okay, this is what I found out," you know.
Right.
But yeah, as long as she's there and as long as he's suspicious of her, she wouldn't leave him. She wants to know what he knows, you know, and how close on his on her trail he is. So yeah, I don't think that he would reveal the name in front of Nigel. But what we said that he would do is, like, once he eventually gets over to the Huntsman, and I don't know if you want to have that confrontation with the wolves or whatever. That's, you know, it's your chapter, whatever you want to do
Well,
with it.
yeah, I'm just wondering, okay, so maybe the hunters all go outside except for Raina is arguing with Lee. So simultaneously, while Lee, Nigel, and Raina are arguing inside because Lee won't reveal his information in front of her, so he stalls maybe a little bit. While that's
Or he
happening...
plays dumb. He would pretend he doesn't know what the name of it is,
Yeah.
but, you know, I saw something
Yeah, some kind of
generic.
man in black or something like that. Meanwhile, outside, you've got the other, whatever it is, 9 or so hunters, you know, 7, 8, 9 hunters or whatever like that. Maybe you have the first Varger, you know, "Hey, where's your friend?" You know, like starting a fight with the hunters or whatever, right? And so somebody has to let Lee, maybe Elliot, like ducks back inside or something like that. And, "Hey, those bikers are outside." Shit. So maybe he messages Gary or whatever, and with the plan, right? Let's distract them. Let's lure them away.
I mean, really, Nigel's a sorcerer. He could probably know if there was shit going down on the street outside his hotel.
Yeah, but okay, I was just assuming that everybody's having an issue, you know, like they're just bullshit. Like last time,
Right.
stuff was going on the TV while Nigel was arguing with, you know what I'm saying?
That's true. Or Gary's at the Huntsman, you know, notices the shit going out on the street,
Yeah,
and he texts Lee, "Don't go outside," you know,
right.
that kind of thing. So really, I mean, however you want to work
So
it.
some way they figure it out. Shit.
Mhm.
You think Ren can do a charm to lure them away?
Right.
Let me see what I can do.
Okay.
You know, Gary then gets Ren to make a charm. He sticks it to a passing truck or something. And then they're lured away. Gary's like, "Ha ha, dumb dogs," you know.
Right.
And then what? So what's the end goal here? Then
So that gives them some breathing room.
So then maybe Lee and Elliot head over to the Huntsman.
Right. And Ren knows, oh, let me grab one of the other girls.
You know, they're
She would
talking
have some
about it. What do you
information on
think?
that.
Yeah, what is this? Hey, let me ask so-and-so. And then,
Right.
so-and-so maybe has a little bit of information about what that is.
Okay.
Interesting. So what's it doing here? Well, what did it bring back last time? Brought back these kids. Why did it bring back the kids? Well, the kids were killed by these sorcerers. Okay, so it exposed some of the crimes.
I think that, that's a good thing. This is a time to start piecing together the clues for the reader.
Right.
And then
Okay,
we're
so
going to want to know what we want to reveal about the Bodak at this point.
right.
And
So
this is chapter 8.
do you
so
think
we're
there's a
like
good place where
a
they're
third of the way into the book. We don't want to reveal too much, but we also know that the Bodak's not the end game bad guy.
Right. So, well, I think once we know that, do you think that it's good that, all right, it was revealing the crimes of these sorcerers and punishing them for them, right? Maybe that's what it's doing, you know? So, what have the other sorcerers done? Well, what do we know about the sorcerers, really, you know? So, maybe that's what it is. He has to kind of, like, figure out who all the sorcerers are in this area, you know, and... You know, maybe it's just like, well, why just this area? Well, this is my area. What do I give a shit about sorcerers in other areas? You know?
Yeah, I mean, basically you're just going to want the conversation with the stripper to reveal, the clues of, well, obviously the sorcerers are the target, but the sorcerers wronged these kids, blah, 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 blah. And maybe the stripper's the one who says, yeah, but the kids are the weapon. They
Right.
might have gone over after those sorcerers, but if you didn't get the Bodak, this isn't done. There's more to come. And
Right.
that's what you want to reveal is that while, okay, it seems like a good thing you wiped out all those kids, that was just step one. There's going to be something else, and you need to know, who it's going after.
Right.
But without the kids, they don't even know if it's coming after a sorcerer next. And so, like, I think the next thing that the Bodak brings is going to reveal that the sorcerers are the
So
consistent target.
What do we do? Are they stuck here? Do they not know what the next move is? You know, do they assume that another guilty sorcerer is the next target?
I think that the stripper is going to give them some questions. She's going to say, you didn't get the Bodak. His job is probably not done. Don't be celebrating that. I think there's going to be more. You need to figure out here, what the target is, who are they going after? What is the motive? Does this thing want power? Is it working for someone? What does it want? And then maybe Lee's going to want some ways to kill it.
I feel like Elliot might be the more investigative mind here, right? So Elliot might say something like, he might be interested in what the next target is most and everything, and how do we find this thing or whatever. But Lee is going to be like, yeah. But how do we kill it?
Right.
In the end, what is the weapon? Because I fired shot after shot after shot at this thing. And I can't believe that I missed it that many times. I'm a pretty good shot. So what kills this son of a bitch? So that's the two things we need to prepare for, right? We need to find it, and then we need to be able to kill it.
Right. So I think in some cases the stripper is going to give them more questions. You need to know what the target is, what's it after, what is its motive. But I can tell you that it's probably not done.
Right.
And then she's probably going to have answers on how you kill it.
So it's killed, what do we say total? 3 sorcerers?
So far, yeah.
So 2 in the story, 1 outside?
3? Yeah.
So is it reasonable to say it's probably going to go after another sorcerer?
Well, we don't know because we don't know if those sorcerers were killed because of the kid's motive or because of the Bodak's motive.
Right, but all 3 of those sorcerers were killed by the kids when they had wronged
when they were
those
controlled
kids.
by the Bodak.
Right, but my point is that all 3 of those sorcerers
Had wronged
were
the
involved
children.
with the decisions that wronged the children.
Right. So, I mean, I think that they would assume that it's going after more sorcerers, but they also know that it's possible that was just, revenge for those children or whatever.
Right.
I guess the question is more the motive of the Bodak.
Okay, so we discussed that the next puppet is maybe a poltergeist from the Ohio Reformatory.
Maybe. Did we want to do poltergeist? Do we want to do another risen undead creature? How do we want to make it work? What is the Bodak capable of?
Well, I think it manipulates the dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it really matters. I don't know.
Doesn't matter what form they take.
Yeah. I don't know. But Poltergeist would definitely be, I think, difficult to fight, right? Wasn't it more difficult for the Ghostbusters?
I mean, it's intangible, so yeah, like, what do you do?
You need weapons that can affect the intangible. But I do think, well, I don't know. I've always had the personal belief that salt,
Salt and iron, usually.
you know, in voodoo, brick dust is a protective barrier. You know, salt is something that I like the idea of loading salt into a shotgun. You know.
Yeah, that's a very supernatural thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't buy the holy water thing, but you know, you never know.
Not on a ghost.
Maybe
don't
salt
think.
water in a squirt gun.
Like it's a bad cat. Bad.
Yeah, the ghost like,
Get
what
off the counter.
the fuck are you doing?
So there's
Stop that.
There's Jeb loading salt in his shotgun, and then there's Elliot with a spray bottle.
Bad ghost.
It leaves like a residue, like Slimer, like on the carpet. You know,
I like the idea that this one can talk. Maybe, I don't know, or
Um,
communicate in some way.
maybe she. Oh, you know what's really creepy? Like, have you ever seen those movies where they have the ghosts that kind of like blink in and out? Like
Yeah.
they're the jerky kind of
Yeah.
movements. Those creep me out. But like maybe she sounds kind of like staticky, like almost like it's coming through a radio or something.
Yeah. Ooh.
And she can only say certain sentences. Like she's constantly on a revenge mission from the man who killed her. And she's constantly talking about, you betrayed me, or something. Like she can only like loop those few phrases.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking maybe she was stuck in the reformatory until the Bodak freed her, until the Bodak turned her.
Oh, she was haunting there, and he released her from.
Yeah. His power
cool.
was able to like
Release her from the reformatory.
unleash her on.
And so she's constantly reliving those, you know, those last torturous, you know, months or whatever that she lived there, and like so she's constantly stuck in that loop.
Right. Interesting. Which keeps her from being able
So
to give up the Bodak.
Right. So everybody she goes after, she's almost treating them like the man who betrayed her, you know,
Right.
until she finally finds her real target, and then it's.
But that's what I'm wondering. At the same time they're trying to figure this out, the Bodak is getting its next weapon. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
maybe after this, you know, after we kind of like, all right, what's next? Well, all right, maybe, you know, what do we know? We got to get some information. We don't know what, you know, how guilty these sorcerers are. But at that time, while they're trying to figure that out, the Bodak's freeing the... Do we show that part? Do we show the part where the Bodak is getting its next weapon? Or do we just, like, make a news thing? Like, how do we show that the Bodak is...
Is releasing them?
Or, you know, that it has picked its next weapon?
I don't know. How do we show that? Like,
Yeah.
you would have to actually do another, like we did in the prologue, have the show the Bodak at the scene.
I feel like that maybe we have a news story or something like that where, like, chaos at the reformatory or something like that, you know. A tour through the reformatory was interrupted by some nightmarish creature.
Oh, that's
you know,
interesting.
And like, there's a woman outside, I'm completely scarred for life. This thing was horrifying. And the kid's like, hey, this is cheap special effects. you know?
Yeah, right. Huh. That's an interesting idea.
You know, because we're kind of, you know, this is kind of a one-sided story overall, you know.
Right. So maybe like a news story, right?
Right, but do we do that, like, is it at the, do we see it at the bar? Maybe, like, Elliot's looking at the TV and he points it out, hey, what's going on here?
Right.
And people look over and, you know, hey, Mac, turn up the TV. And
Oh, so you just want to do like the news story while they're at the bar?
yeah, I realize
or
how
at the
convenient it is.
Huntsman?
It's technically, what, Next Machina of some sort,
Who
you
cares?
know. A little bit of a cliche, but
It doesn't matter. You don't actually have to reveal.
we're not saying exactly. All we're saying is,
All
so
you're
we've got these people who are like, there is a horrifying experience at the reformatory, some kind of ghosts, and then maybe that puts them on the right track. Wait a minute. Okay, what does the reformatory have
You know
to
what,
do
though?
with
They
it?
don't even have to acknowledge it at first. They haven't seen the ghost that comes of this yet.
Okay, so maybe
I'm
once
just
they
saying-
encounter it, they look it up to find out what's
Well,
going on.
I'm saying once they encounter it, they realize or maybe like one of the sentences the ghost can say is, "I'm not crazy. You know I'm not crazy," or something like that. And they're like, "Oh, fuck." And they realize that what the story they saw was this ghost being released,
Yeah.
So maybe like right now it's just some like creepy ghost story, like the reformatory is all up in arms, the tour or whatever.
Right.
And so like you acknowledge it in this chapter, but don't like make them tie it to their case.
Right.
Just acknowledge it.
Sure.
Okay. And so they see that maybe you're hearing the like whatever and everything, and like finally Lee's like, yeah, okay, whatever. So how do we kill this thing?
Okay, so do we end this chapter with like seeing the news story on the TV?
I think you show the news story, like after you get everything you need out of the stripper, and then I think that you, like I just said, you go back to Lee like, yeah, okay, whatever. So how do we kill this thing? And I think that you either end with her telling him how to kill it, or you end with just his question of how do we kill this, and you assume that he'll know.
Yeah, that's probably good. Yeah, because we don't need a layout. Because I think I'd rather get the details in when they actually like pull out the arsenal.
Right.
Well, the thing is that they learn how to kill the Bodak, but then they didn't learn how to deal with the poltergeist. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're probably not going to kill the Bodak right now.
No, but that's what
They'd
I'm
still
saying.
have to catch it. Or maybe the stripper gave them a couple options. Well, this usually works. This usually works. They catch up with it. They try one of those things. Whoop, that didn't work.
Right.
And so like.
But that's my point, though, is that they want to kill the Bodak, but what they're going to end up fighting is the poltergeist.
Right. They have to catch the Bodak in
Right.
order to be able to fight it. So.
But that's what I'm saying. So they studied how to kill the Bodak. They have no idea
And
how to kill the poltergeist.
Right.
They've
And as long as the Bodak keeps unleashing these things, how are they even going to get to him? You know.
Yeah, it's got perpetual human shields or
Right.
ghastly shields or whatever you want to call them.
Exactly.
So I didn't sign up for this. Whatever you do, don't cross the streams.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's fun. And that sets up the next chapter for all
Okay.
of the haunting stuff. So that's fun.
Cool. All right, I think that's good, right?
Yeah, that should be good.
Fantastic. All right, I guess we'll see you next week for another exciting episode of the Dark and Stormy Nights. Don't forget to check us out at the Dark Stormy K1 on Twitter. Have the discussion with us at r/Dark and Stormy Nights on Reddit. Help us decide how to write this story. And don't forget to follow Tyr at Nova Drake Writer on Twitter and go buy her books. Anything else?
Nope.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.